This show is being sponsored by BetterHelp. Sometimes in life, we're faced with tough choices, and the path forward isn't always clear. Listen, when we started the War Report, we had a tough decision about when we were going to commit full time to doing this, and that meant leaving careers that we had built up. And whether you're dealing with decisions that are right around the corner, relationships, or anything else, therapy helps you stay connected to what you really want while you navigate life. You can move forward with confidence and excitement. Trusting yourself to make decisions that align with your values is like anything. The more you practice it, the easier it gets. We all need people to help us talk through tough choices that we have in life, whether that's friends or family. But if you don't feel like you have someone around you to do that, or even if you do and you want to get a different, fresh perspective, and you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Head over to betterhelp.com/rapport today to get 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rapport. Again, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's going on? Good morning, War Report family. It's your guy, Ike Jones. We are here. Another morning drop. Today, we are talking about the defensive back room for Auburn. Hey, man, we're going to get straight into it this morning. Y'all know how we do right here, War Report style. Let's drop it on them.
You are now listening to the War Report. Drop.
Morning drop. It is Friday, August the 11th. We are here. You got Ike Jones, B. Will in the place to be, talking a little bit about the DBs. B. Will.
Yes, sir.
How you feeling?
Man, I'm all right. You know, it's coming down here in Auburn right now. Man.
Is it raining really hard again?
It's raining really hard again. This weather is crazy, man. Can't wait for the fall for more reasons than one.
Yeah, that summer rain is different, man, just because it's still hot. And then when it's done raining, it's like very humid and muggy outside. Like it's just it's way different. So
it's aggressive. It's way too aggressive.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anyway, defensive backs, what we're talking about this morning. We already talked about the safeties. Today we're going to talk about their compatriots, their partners in crime, part of the Jack Boys, DBs.
That's right.
It's going to be an interesting group to watch. I think maybe the most talented deep group at Auburn this year is the group we're talking about today.
I don't know, man. I think that's the running back room.
The running back room would be the only room that I think would be competitive with that. But I mean, I don't know that there's a drop off at all in this room. I don't know there's a drop off at all in the running back room either. So you know, it's going to be a strength for this team. And I just feel like there's just a lot of talent in this room and a lot of guys that are going to be able to play reps without having any issues with the assignments or what they need to be doing, athleticism standpoint, from a physicality standpoint, tackling, coverage. They've got the ability to do all of the things necessary to be a great and elite group this season. And I think that was the case last year. I don't think that this is new for Auburn. I think the defensive backs have been good.
They have been good, and they have consistently been number one, well recruited, well evaluated coming into Auburn. They have been drafted well and had success in the NFL. I think this is probably our most consistent group going back years. With what Crime Dog really built up. Really, honestly, it was
T-Rob.
T-Rob
started it.
He started it when he got Carlton Davis for us, and I think the next year Jamel Dean. But that's when it started, and we have not slowed down since, man. We are still loaded at defensive back.
Yeah. Definitely looking forward to seeing how this group produces. If you guys have not already, go ahead and do the necessary. Share the video at the War Report. Hashtag get your weight up so we know that you've done that, right? Like, it makes me feel good when I open my Twitter app afterwards and I see all the shares of people talking about it. Make sure you add us so we know that you're doing that. Do the also compulsory thing. Y'all know the order of operations here is watch the video, share the video, like the video, and then if you haven't done necessary, subscribe to the channel. And that is another free way that you can show support. Listen, we ask you guys to support us monetarily in a lot of ways. Very free to watch a video, like a video, subscribe. It costs you no money whatsoever. So we appreciate everybody who continues to do that. Anyway, let's get into the graphic with the names up here. Hopefully I didn't leave anybody out this time. Y'all know I'm prone to just randomly skip over a name for whatever reason when I'm doing this. But here we are with our defensive back, starting with probably the best defensive back that's ever worn an Auburn uniform. Keontae Scott, 6'0", 188 junior, the second year player, community college, Chinook College transfer last year. Hyperbole, of course, but somebody probably clip that and say, "What about you?" Listen, man, calm down. Keontae Scott's just my boy, man. So whatever. Nehemiah Pritchett is next at 6'1", 184, a senior. Kayan Lee, definitely going to talk about this young man, 5'11", freshman, 181. DJ James here, 6'1", 164. I was surprised to see this, and I double and triple checked this number on the website. He was 174 last season. He's coming in at 164 this year, 10 pounds lighter. The senior DJ James here. I was like, was that a typo on the Auburn site, or did he really lose 10 pounds? Like,
or was it a typo last year?
Like, I don't know. I don't know.
JC
Hart coming in next, 6'2", 195, freshman. JC Hart bigger than I thought he was. He looks like a slim guy when you just see him on film, but 6'2", 195 is pretty big. I mean, he's slim for 6'2", but 195 makes him the biggest guy in this room as far as weight is concerned. The freshman from right round the way at Lochapoka. Shout out to Lochapoka, man. Shout out to my guy, Johnny and Pat and Janetta. You know what I'm saying? That was my Lochapoka folks right there.
Yeah, man.
Corey, all of my Lochapoka folks, man. Shout out to y'all, man. But JD Rim coming in next, 6'1", 178, sophomore. Colton Hood, the freshman, 5'11", 183. The legacy, Colton Hood.
Legacy.
Champ Anthony, a guy who I haven't heard a lot about. I am going to be asking some questions next time I have an opportunity to talk to some people on the defense about how Champ Anthony is doing right now. But he is the other JUCO transfer that we've got in here in this room, 5'11", 164. So again, another on the smaller side, sophomore. Plays really physical, though. So interesting. He's a smaller guy in that way. Tyler Scott, 6'1", 193, freshman. And then, of course, Jalen Simpson, who we talked a little bit about in the last one because he is primarily playing safety this year, but listed on the roster as a defensive back at 6'1", 178, the senior in that room. B. Will, first impressions from just looking at that roster and guys that you are outside of DJ James. We know DJ James is going to be a guy that everybody's looking to have a phenomenal season. He has been a stalwart for this team. Last season, he was good at Oregon. He was good again his first year at Auburn. We know DJ James. Other guys that you're looking for in first impressions here.
I've heard so much about Kayan Lee coming from the spring to now. I want to see if he can get out there and hold down the other starting outside corner spot. I doubt it's going to be that simple. With so much talent in the room, I think we've got as equal a chance of Nehemiah Pritchett getting those snaps. Kayan Lee can probably get some of those snaps. I wouldn't be surprised if JD Rim gets some of those snaps. However, Kayan Lee is the one I want to see because I want him to be primed to take over one of the two starting jobs going into next season when we know DJ James is going to depart. He could have departed this offseason. He's gone after this year. Who do we have who can hold down the spot? And really, we're going to find that out one way or another. I think plenty of guys are going to get snaps and a chance to hold down one of those outside corner spots in spurts. I hope Kayan Lee is one of those guys, number one, because he was recruited and heralded as a big recruit. He's shown enough to get everybody excited in the spring and going forward to fall camp. I want to see him emerge as our next lockdown because honestly, we talked about this, DBs. We've had a lockdown corner. It seems like last year was DJ James. The year before was really Roger McCreary twice in a row, 2 years in a row. I'm trying to think who it was. 2020 may have been our. Well, no, Roger was there. He had broken out, but he really locked it down. I think 2021.
Yeah.
2019 is the year I'm thinking. I can't remember who it was. 2019 because I think Jamel Dean got out in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, or was he 2019? I'm having trouble remembering.
Go ahead
when
and keep
everybody
talking,
left.
and I'll look.
You look that up, but yeah, Kayan Lee's the one I want to see. I want to see if he can live up to the promise, and I hope we can lock one of those down. Now, it doesn't always work out like, hey, he's the guy day one, put him on the field, and he's going to start. Carlton Davis was one of those guys. He ended up being one of those guys. Roger McCreary didn't start every freshman game, though. He got snaps. He played a few games, and by year 2, he got more consistent. So by year 3, he was balling, and that's how you got out of here.
My guys, Jamie Sherwood was in that defensive backfield.
He was
outside
more
corner,
safety, though.
Where he was Javaris Davis, really talented tackling, undersized, but tackling.
That's right.
Let's see. Jeremiah Denson was on that team. Smoke Monday, safety. Roger McCreary was on that team as a sophomore. Daniel Thomas was on that team.
Safety. Okay.
Simp was on that team, but he was a freshman, didn't play a lot that year. That's it. That's pretty much it. I mean, there's other names that I'm not mentioning on here. Nehemiah Pritchett was on that team as a freshman. Jordan Peters was on that team, more special teams. Zion Puckett, that was his freshman season. So Christian Tutt was on that team. And
Christian
that was
balled out.
Noah Igbenogany's junior year.
He was kind of the star, right? He was the nickel. Tutt, he was everything on that defense, and he actually played really well in some big games for us. But I am looking forward to continuing the legacy of shut them down on one side. I got one side I don't have to worry about when it comes to the pass. Now, at 164, maybe you do have to worry about DJ James in the run game. Are you going to hold up? If our linebackers are as good as we hope they can be, maybe that's not as much of a concern. Our safeties need to be good tacklers. Simp is a good tackler. Kaufman is a better than average tackler. I mean, I don't think you got to be scared of him like you got to be scared of Rose Green back in the day, but I don't have any concerns with our safety positions and their tackling and playing a run. At 164, I would have concerns about that, but I haven't seen those concerns so far. Like I'm trying to remember games like, man, DJ James should have made that tackle. I can't remember saying that. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. That just means I don't remember saying it. So who's going to lock down the corner? Kayan Lee, I want to be the next guy. I want to be the next one. That's prime. That's already going to be after his sophomore season. He's projected to be a low first round, mid first round pick. That's what I want to see from him. I want to see that promise start this season, though.
Yeah, I think that he is. I mean, listen, by all accounts, going to be the next guy up in that room. I wonder if he gets any taller. He is undersized as far as that's concerned, but his effort is what everyone who I have spoken with is talking about for him in that room. He's kind of like the consummate professional. He's coming in there and he's putting in the work every single day. So looking forward to seeing how that pays dividends for the young man. I do think that he is going to be a good one in that room. The other guy, man, I was looking forward to seeing his emergence this year. I was pleasantly surprised by the get of Kayan Lee, number one, on National Signing Day, or was it early signing day or National Signing Day? He flipped. I don't remember. Either way, he
was
signed
early
with us.
Yeah.
But the guy who I was looking as the heir apparent was JD. He was hurt during the fall. I mean, excuse me, during the spring. He's back out there now. I think JD Rim is going to be a guy that's going to put some people on notice when he gets his opportunities out there. I'm looking forward to seeing what the sophomore is able to provide for this team going into the future. I think that this defensive backfield is in good hands if they can figure out how to keep a guy like JD Rim out there ready as the next guy. If Champ Anthony is as good as people have reported him to be, again, I haven't heard much of him in the fall, but if he's that good, and then you got a kid like Tyler Scott out there on the outside, who I've heard some good things about as well. Not so much since he's been at Auburn, but just the hype around him coming into Auburn.
Right.
You look at Kayan Lee, J.C. Hart, who is a flexible guy, could play wide receiver, but out there playing DB right now. J.D. Rim, Colton Hood, who I think is going to be more of in that star
Hmm.
kind of linebacker kind of spot for
Yeah,
us. Um, Tyler Scott and Champ Anthony. You've got four DBs right there that can be the next up, and you can just reload at the defensive backfield and be fine. And that's not even mentioning the freshman crop that we're going to have coming in
that's
that
true.
they've recruited, which is supposed to be extremely talented. So, man, they are doing work to keep this defensive backfield looking like an elite group for a few years to come. If you can keep that nucleus together and you can figure out how to get that rotation where all of these young men feel as if they're being valued. The forgotten man in this room, I think, of course, is going to be Nehemiah Pritchett.
Yeah.
Is he going to be able to hold on to his spot and stay out there and producing at a high level? He came back for his senior season. I don't know that he had a lot of pro prospects that are out there, but I think somebody would have taken a flyer on a guy who can move the way that Nehemiah Pritchett can
Right.
at his size and his athleticism.
Hmm.
Somebody would have said, "Yeah, man, let's take him in the later rounds and see what he can do. Get him in camp and figure it out."
Right.
Any thoughts on Nehemiah Pritchett and what he's going to be able to do in this final season?
I think Nehemiah Pritchett has been good over the course of his career. Unfortunately, we have had games where he was the unfortunate victim in some big plays on the wide receiver that had a big catch. I remember distinctly the 21 season playing Georgia at home, and I think it was McConkey hit him with that double
Mhm.
move and taillights, and it was like, woo, okay, because that was a big one because we were holding on that game. We weren't going to win that game. It was going to be a matter of when, not if. We eventually broke because our defense couldn't hold up under so many chances on the field without our offense doing something. But yeah, they that was one of the things that seemed to start the the cascade of points from
Right.
Georgia, and I think that sticks out in a lot of fans' minds.
For sure.
Honestly, it does. So he's had a couple of games like that. He's not a bad corner though. The question is, and when we're talking about DJ James comparatively or Roger McCreary comparatively, you don't remember those types of plays from them. And that's when they build that reputation as a good corner. Number one, when the ball gets thrown their way, they are often breaking it up or often getting between the ball and the wide receiver or so close in coverage that the wide receiver can't make the play. We don't have these plays from them that, oh man, you got burned on that, huh? That's in so it's easy to think, oh, Pritchett's not good. Not good is that's an exaggeration. He's
Yeah.
had some bad plays in some big games, admittedly, yes. What can he do to remedy that? What can this coaching staff do to remedy that? He's got a dedicated cornerbacks coach now who is great at turning people into quality cornerbacks. Crime Dog turned Noah Igbenogany into a first round cornerback at 5'9". And now apparently he's in Dolphins camp picking off Tua Tagovailoa. You can get better at your craft.
Yeah.
Nehemiah Pritchett can get better at what he lacks as a quarterback to get him ready for the next level. I don't want to put it past him to improve. I don't want to put it past anybody to improve. So, with that being said, I do think he starts the season. I think Pritchett starts the season. The experience he has and the physicality, the speed, he can be an asset, absolutely. I don't think they're going to leave him out there if we start seeing some repeat of the bust that led to big plays for the opposing offense.
Yeah. There's too
That's
much
where
talent. Yeah.
there's too much talent in the room. All right. So they're going to put K and Lee out there for a driver. I mean, for sure, you got talent, you get them out there. You get Pritchett out there and you let them play, especially early. We're going to be against some opponents that we're going to overpower. Great. That's a great time to get K and Lee prepared. I guess the real test of what happened in the games 1, 2, and 3 is who do they put out there to face a Bobby Petrino attack in week 4 on the road, Texas A&M. My
Yeah.
guess it would be the senior. Is he a fifth-year senior? I'm not sure if he's fifth year or not.
I believe it is his 5th year. Yeah.
You put your fifth-year senior out there, number one for leadership, number two for experience. He shouldn't be shaken by that environment, and you let him do the job, okay? That, to me, will tell the story of how far Nehemiah Pritchett has progressed. Can he hold off once we get into SEC competition, can he hold off, minimize the errors, and hold off a talented KN Lee or a talented JC Hart? I think JC Hart is probably just as primed to end up being a starter next year as KN Lee is. I think he looks that talented to me. So we will see. I'm not out on Pritchett, man. Like, give somebody a chance to improve. He was playing. He knows the mistakes that he made, and I believe that he can improve.
Yeah, I think Pritchett gets a little unfairly criticized sometimes. He is. I don't think anybody's going to mistake Nehemiah Pritchett for a lockdown, don't throw it on this guy corner, but he's also not as bad as people are trying to make it seem like he is. He's probably it's the truth is definitely somewhere in the middle for him.
Right.
But he's definitely got the talent. He's got the ability to be physical. He likes to play. I mean, this is another thing. He was making that transition over to playing more of a zone type of defense, and he is more of a press corner. He likes to be physical at the line of scrimmage, all that sort of thing. And I think that he's going to get more opportunities to do that this year in this scheme. So you may see an emergence of him again. And I mean, by the numbers, though, he still wasn't bad. He's still one of the better defensive corners out there in the country, not just in the league. So we had, and people were excited to see him come back as far as the staff, because they knew they were going to have two viable outside corner options to be able to get us to a position where we can groom some of these younger guys in there. So yeah, I think that Pritchett, hopefully he has a good redemption story this year. I know everybody's ready to anoint the young guy KN Lee, and I think KN Lee is super talented, and he's going to make it difficult to keep him off the field. But hopefully Nehemiah Pritchett is ready to get out there and make some people believers. But he's not going to be able to do it without the defensive front doing what they need to do. And that's been, I think, the bigger issue for Auburn over the last few years is the pass rush just has not been a real thing. Like that's going back 2-3 years now, right? Like pass rush is just.
Well, 2021, we figured it out. As the season wore on in 2021, the pass rush actually got better. We had what we thought was an underwhelming Penn State trip, all right, where they should have rushed the passer more and didn't and got eaten alive. And then we had a phenomenal, really last 3 or 4 games of the season.
That came a lot with the emergence of TD Moultrie. TD Moultrie's just, for some reason, he just woke up when he came back from that suspension and he was like, nah, bro, I'm not going out like this.
He was balling out. Kobe was getting great pressure. Marcus Harris was getting great pressure. We were doing phenomenal. Of course, Derek Hall was still here. We were doing phenomenal in pass rushing for about half of that season. And then 2022, it didn't exist. 2020, it didn't exist. And it's been rough. It's been rough for 2.5, 3 years of the last 4. It's been rough. So, yeah, where is that pass rush? Because we know that makes it easier. 2019, the reason we can remember Christian Tutt making big plays, the defensive line was creating pressure, was creating turnovers. I specifically remember LSU fumble on the ground, Christian Tutt fumble, return for a touchdown. They were getting picks and getting their hands on balls because the defensive line was making it tough for the opposing offense. Can they do that this year?
Right.
That's probably the biggest question mark on the defense for sure. Can the defensive line apply pressure? We're hearing good things about that group, and I guess we'll get to them eventually. But yeah, the cornerbacks are still dependent. They got to eat, but they got to depend on somebody else to help feed them a little easier.
Yeah. I mean, it's imperative that the cornerbacks have a little bit more assistance. And speaking of it, if you all need assistance, make sure that you hit up BetterHelp.com. Use BetterHelp.com/rapport. Again, get a little something off of that. If therapy is something that you're looking to do, BetterHelp.com can be the place that you can do that. Virtual, and it's suited to your schedule, whatever you need for your therapy. Tough life decisions, make sure you hit them up, betterhelp.com. We are going to get over and get some help from you all in this conversation, and we are going to see what you all are talking about in regard to the defensive backfield room. We'll start the comments off this morning with Jonathan Boyson, who says, is Hart going to play wide receiver or DB? He's working out with the DBs right now.
He's going to be a DB. He's going to be a DB for sure. I think it's a benefit to have him in that room. It's not that he couldn't play wide receiver, I'm sure, but the wide receivers we have seem to be a step above what he is probably equipped to do. And that's not a slight to him. I think he's probably a better DB. He was recruited as a DB, and maybe the return game, I'm not sure. But at his height, His length, he's very slight of frame. All right, kind of built like, I guess you could say, Shane Hooks. They're both very slim guys.
Mm.
But J.C. Hart looks. When I saw him at practice, he was with the defense, learning the defensive calls and the defensive the base scheme. He seems to be a DB.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, again, working with that DB room. So looking forward to seeing how he turns into shape there. Jonathan Brandon jumps in with an actual comment. Jonathan, there we go.
I can't
Simp
believe
is
it.
going to be, I guess that's the bomb this season. Yeah, Jalen Simpson. Can't say enough about what I expect from Jalen Simpson at the safety position, but
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing what he does out there. Chris S says, shout out to Smoke making waves at Saints camp. Smoke Monday was doing well last season before he got hurt. Everybody was talking about how
Yeah.
much he was being competitive out there for the Saints. Looking forward to seeing what year 2 in the NFL brings for a hopefully healthy Smoke Monday as he goes into his sophomore campaign, which is really kind of his rookie season as far as experience on the field is concerned. But hopefully Smoke Monday is going to have a great NFL career. That young man, by all accounts, is great locker room guy, knows what he's doing out there on the field. He's a leader and the defensive backfield, and hopefully year 2 turns out to be a good one for him.
Yeah, man. He hits and he has a nose for the ball. 2 great things in a safety. If he can keep his helmet out to play, they got a baller.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. Rodney Gilbert jumps in and says, gets even deeper next year in regard to the defensive backfield room. Yes, we have chronicled this. It's getting to be scary hours, man, for what they're doing in the recruiting in those DBs. And if all of those young men actually sign and end up here at Auburn, yeah,
it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy, man. It's gonna be crazy.
Looking forward to that. Anxiously awaiting early signing day at this point in time. If we could just have early signing day be tomorrow, so we could go ahead and solidify the group that we've already got and let them continue trying to sign people through, I would be a lot happier about where we are. Another regular statement from John Brandon, man. This is
what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just skipped past all the jokes that he made today, but can't wait for teams to try to throw on us. Not going to be a thing this year. I don't think that's going to be a good proposition for people to try to do.
It shouldn't be easy. Let's say that. It shouldn't be easy. Well, somebody's going to have some great wide receivers, I'm sure. I don't know who exactly that is yet, but I don't expect.
I think this is going to come down to the pass rush, man. If they're going to have to make QBs earn the ability to get throws off. But this is really, so 2 things, right? First and second down, right? How well are you getting people or keeping people into 3rd and long situations that will allow you to have an effective pass rush? And then if it is a 3rd and medium, are we able to keep guys in a position where, the defensive backs are playing tight enough coverage where they're not able to just get a quick, easy or cheap one, right? It's going to have, people are going to make completions, right? You're not going to stop people from getting first downs the entirety of games.
Yeah.
But what you can do is make it difficult for them to do that. Like tight window catches and all that kind of thing. Those things are going to happen. Make them earn it, though. I don't really want to see guys running around wide open because of coverage busts.
Right.
Make guys make plays, man. Make them make a play. And that's what I want to be able to see. I don't want to see a lot of just where it looks like we're confused out there. So I'm looking forward to getting an opportunity to talk to some of these defensive players. Again, we've had the firesides. We just talked to the running backs. Looking forward to getting an opportunity to talk to some of these defensive players. And we're working on that for you all. And I want to hear their perspective on how things are going. Jonathan Boyson jumps back in and says, Keon Lee, I think, will rotate with Pritchett at least to start the year.
I think that's likely.
I mean, I think we're going to rotate a lot. I think that there's going to be a lot of rotation in our defensive backfield just because that's the style in which I think they want to play this year. It's just getting a lot of guys reps, keeping guys fresh so that if you need to just say, all right, we're going to go with our best 4, right? Our 2 best safeties, 2 best outside corners, or really 5 if you talk about the star. and we're going to roll with those guys for these last two possessions where we need to get stops. They
Yeah.
want to keep guys fresh early in the game. That's going to go defensive line, even linebackers. I think we're going to be rotating guys, and that's part of the reason why I think Coach Freeze and company had been so adamant about needing to upgrade in these rooms. It's like, I need to know that at any given moment, I can throw another guy out there because this guy's tired. This guy is not having his best game against this one. A matchup of, height in this scenario. Like,
Hmm.
we need to be able to be multiple in those ways. And I think that they've done a good job of getting this room. Well, this room I think was already super talented, right? Like, the additions though of K and Lee, JC Hart, Colton Hood, Champ Anthony, and Tyler Scott, right? Like, all of those guys are people who I think could be starters in the next season, right?
Right.
So
Right.
if you
Right.
added potential starters up and down the roster as opposed to guys who, nobody's ever going to hear anything from, or if you
Right.
hear the name, you're like, that doesn't impress me. I'm not really worried about that guy.
Right.
Then you haven't really added depth. We've added some significant depth to this room.
Right. Yep.
Next up, jumping in, AU alum 94 says, laughing out loud, I see K Scott at the top of the list. I bet Ike put this list together. You are correct on half of this. I did put the list together, but I actually put every list, not just this one, is put together by their roster number. So Keontae Scott actually switched to roster number 0. So that's why he was at the top of that list. That has nothing to do with my preference towards young Keontae Scott. It's my guy, but I wouldn't just do that arbitrarily. It is my roster number. AU alum 94 again says a lot of these kids will ball out if we get good pressure up front. This is something we've just talked about. I agree
Yeah,
with
straight
this
up.
wholeheartedly. The pressure is going to be something that is necessary. Listen, pass rush and your ability to defend the pass go hand in hand.
Yeah.
If you're giving the quarterback a lot of time, DBs can't cover forever, man. Can't cover
Yeah.
forever. I want to see some covered sacks, though. I do want to see some situations where the DBs are plastered to receivers so much that the quarterback just kind of has to eat it.
Yeah.
Like what
I, I'm I am very eager to see. Well, number one, that can happen. I think we did a great job of that last year when we didn't really have much of a pass rush at all. There were times where, all right, well, 3 seconds and I'm still got the ball in my hands, so it's just going to get hard for you to keep covering my guy so I can find the guy. Like, we had that happen a couple of times last season. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think we're going to be a little better off than we were last season just because of the number of bodies that we have on the line. Like, we got to find some new ones, true, but we got some good ones. So hopefully it's not to that extent. But I do think, listen, the same coaches that had us looking great over the last 5 years, I mean, Crime Dog, and also Zach Etheridge, who put together a great secondary, I think 2 years in a row now, they're still here. These guys are going to get coached up. So I have very little concerns about their ability. But yeah, you're right, AU alum. If we got to get pressure, we got to get pressure. Got to.
mandatory. Derek Anderson, does the media get any viewing during the scrimmages? Yes, actually, we do get to go to the scrimmage. I don't know what the media viewing period is, but I think they are
Oh,
allowing
okay.
media at the scrimmage this Saturday.
Oh, okay, because they had not done any of that for a couple of years. So that's a surprise.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they are allowing some media at this scrimmage. I am not sure if I haven't talked to Mike about this. I do believe Mike is going to try to be in the building for the scrimmage this weekend, but we'll find out. And that's tomorrow, actually. So there is a media viewing period. There's a fan event going on and the scrimmage tomorrow. So
Yep.
hopefully we will get an opportunity to see what's happening out here at the scrimmage. Again, I caution people not to make too much of what you see in the scrimmage, but that's like talking to a wall because I understand people are going to do it anyway. Anyway, all right. But we are out of here. We will be back at you guys on Sunday to talk about all the things. We got a couple of big recruitment battles that are going on this weekend and people announcing that are potentially leaning in Auburn's direction. So we will break that to you as that comes in. But if you don't hear from us, I should say, over the next day and a half, we will be back at you on Sunday with the weekend tailgate. But that's it, man. We are out of here. As always, the morning drop is sponsored by rogueshop.com. Make sure you guys head over to Rogue Shop and use code RAPPORT to get a little something off of your purchase. That lets them know the War Report sent you over here. Make sure you like the video before you get out of here. Subscribe to the channel. And again, we'll be back at you guys on the next time. Until then, and as always, War Eagle, peace.
Peace.